Hi, guys. Welcome back to the No One to Tell Us No podcast, a podcast where we share our life experiences and adventures and do our best to truly live life like there's no one to tell us no. I'm Courtney, and with me is my husband and foodie buddy, Charlie.
Hey guys, how's it going today? Welcome to part 2 of our 2025 EPCOT Food and Wine Festival review and overview of all the delicious bites and things to do. Today we're going to be talking about all the food booths inside the World Showcase area of the park. Part 1, which I hope everyone has listened to. If not, go back and listen to it. It was a good one. That was talking about the front half of EPCOT. This is going to take place in the World Showcase portion of the park, which is primarily all of the country booths. So before we get started, we like to preface a few things like we did in part 1. We're going to focus primarily on the food rather than the drinks at the festival. This kind of turns into a food festival for us because we don't consider the drinks to have as much value as the food might.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of bang for your buck.
Yeah, they are quite small. We also didn't and aren't able to try everything at all the booths. We kind of just tried what we wanted to, some of the new things and some of the unique items. So we wouldn't be trying everything. For example, there's an India booth that has chicken tikka masala, and you can get better chicken tikka masala most likely at a really good local Indian restaurant. So that's just one example right there.
So another thing is that we're not going to focus too much on the pricing of things. You can find prices on any other food blog, or you can find them on the Disney website. But typically speaking, the individual food items will range anywhere from $5 to about $11 or $12. So we're not going to focus too much on pricing.
Somewhere in the middle there. And then obviously we're going to be rating the food items, and our rating will be 0 out of 5, 0 being we're throwing it right in the trash. And then all the way up to 5, it was outstanding. We definitely get it again. Mm-hmm. How we're going to start this off is we're going to start in Canada and work around the World Showcase Pavilion. Courtney believes this is the correct area to start in.
It is the correct way.
Some people argue that Mexico is the right country to start in and work your way around and end in Canada.
It's a very controversial subject.
But it's however you choose. I have no preference when it comes to it. I just follow my stomach and whatever I would like to eat that day, and that's the direction I'm going.
But before we get into the countries, I want to take us back real quick to our first episode, or part 1 of the EPCOT Food and Wine Festival, and just go over 2 food items that we said we would try and rate before moving to the World Showcase piece.
3 food items.
3, yes, correct. So, Charlie, do you want to start us off with the first one?
Yeah, so the first one that we mentioned that we were definitely getting was from Forest and Field, and this was the Sciaccatta sandwich. And this featured mortadella prosciutto ham, sun-dried peppers, arugula, stracciatella cheese, fall squash mostarda, and pistachio pesto on a warm focaccia. There's a lot in that sandwich.
Yes.
But I will tell you, it was very good, and I'm glad we decided to try it.
Yeah.
If this was at a local sandwich shop, I would definitely be back to get it as a return customer. I give this one a 4 out of 5.
I will agree with you. That was a 4 out of 5 for me. I love focaccia bread, so it was a win in my book.
Yeah, all the flavors just blended nicely together. And it was surprising because you think just a sandwich, but it was really good with all the flavors. Mm-hmm. And then the other 2 items that we tried were from the Milled and Mold booth. We actually talked about these because we each got the opposite one and we didn't try it for ourselves. Mm-hmm. So last time you had tried the apple cinnamon and caramel mini churro sundae. Mm-hmm. So I gave that a whirl this go around, and I wanted to give my thoughts on it. Basically, this is a deconstructed apple pie. After I finished eating it, I was like, yep, that's exactly what that is. And it did bring me back to, and I believe I mentioned this in part 1, the old Taco Bell dessert, the caramel apple empanada. It tasted very, very similar to that. So basically, like I said, it was a deconstructed apple pie a la mode, but instead of ice cream, it had gelato on it. Overall, I gave this a 3 out of 5. You gave this a 2 out of 5. So I liked it a little more than you. I think my churros this time were a little more enhanced with the sugar and cinnamon sugar than they were for you. So I think it all depends on what batch you get.
Yeah.
You may get a less sugary batch, or you may get a good amount.
Yep.
I wouldn't get this again, but I'm glad I tried it.
Mm-hmm. And then I got the freshly baked carrot cake with walnuts and cream cheese icing. I enjoyed this. The one little bite that I had the first time, I did enjoy it the second time, but for me, it wasn't as warm as what yours was. So I had to knock it down just to a 4 out of 5. I know you rated it a 5 out of 5 in our last episode, but for me, my serving was not as warm, and so it made the icing more hard and less sopping.
I think it has just been sitting for a little bit, which is unfortunate. I think I got like a piping hot fresh version of it. Yours might just have been sitting for 5 to 10 minutes or something like that.
But overall, solid carrot cake. No complaints. Yeah. Just would have liked it to be warmer.
Yeah. Take it home, put it in the microwave. Yeah. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so that was the couple items that we needed to go back over from part 1. Mm-hmm. So now we're jumping really into part 2 and starting with Canada.
Yes. So at Canada, we got the cheddar and bacon soup. It was served with a pretzel roll. And really, instead of a pretzel roll, it was more of a pretzel log or stick. It was soft baked and
it was warm.
It was warm.
Perfectly salted.
Yes. This was really good. It's hard to mess up cheese and bacon and bread, in my opinion.
Especially pretzel bread.
Yes. For me, though, this was a perfect fall intro soup, even though it really was more of a dip.
It was very comforting.
Yeah, it was really good. I gave this a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 5 as well. Like she said, it's more of a dip consistency. Whatever was left at the end after we ran out of bread, we used a spoon to sop the rest of it up. But that beer cheese and that pretzel bread mixture, you can't beat it.
Mm-hmm. And the second thing that we got from this booth was the filet mignon with mushrooms and mashed potatoes featuring boursin garlic and fine herb cheese. And this one, it is basically a sampling size of the Le Cellier filet that you can get at the restaurant. And this is one that they have every year. It's a standard. It's a staple.
If there are those that are not familiar, Le Cellier is the signature dining experience at the Canada Pavilion in EPCOT. And they have really good steaks. It's really good, just a really good overall meal. And they offer a full-size portion of this is about 6 or 8 ounces. Mm-hmm. And it's just delicious. But when it comes to the booth, they're kind of having to make it high quantities of it. And you can't ask for it to a specific temperature. So you're either getting probably somewhere around medium well to well done. Mm-hmm. They are cranking them out, so it is hot. But I will say there's probably a variance on the quality of the cut that you're getting, depending on if you're getting like a cut of the middle of the steak or the edge. So you could get a little bit of fatty piece, or you could not. And we lucked out and we got a pretty decent piece. Obviously, it was cooked closer to well done, but the overall taste is decent. I wanted to try it and see how it compared since we had the actual full portion in the restaurant years ago. I think the flavor was still overall good. Would I get it again? Probably not, just because of the price. It is one of the more expensive items, being $10, but it is a filet, so you're getting what you get. I rated this a 3 out of 5, more so just it being a little overcooked because of the mass quantity and the smaller portion.
Yeah, I will also match that with a 3 out of 5. Because it is such a hit or miss on whether you get a decent cut versus a very fatty cut. So if you're wanting to take the risk, I'd say go for it. But for me, I'd rather use that money that I'm spending on the sample size and just use it towards the dinner.
And if you've never been to Le Cellier, give this a taste, give you an example of what kind of food they offer at the restaurant.
Yep. And so to move on to our next booth, we have France.
And this was an overall pretty good booth.
Oh, yeah. They never miss. So for France, we got the red wine braised short ribs with potato puree. This was really good. I loved the red wine flavors because it gave it more of a French vibe. And overall, this was really good. You get the creaminess from the potatoes and just the short ribs being very tender and not super fatty, but if there is any fat, it melted in your mouth and it complemented everything perfectly. So
yeah, this is their beef bourguignon. That's their dish. And overall, I really did like this one. It reminded me of a French style pot roast. So those of you that are from the South or familiar with Southern style pot roast, this is what it reminded me of, but had a little French twist on it with the meat and the vegetables that were in it. It was really, really good. And I would definitely get this one again. I would give this a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I will agree with that as well. 4 out of 5 for both of us. The next item was an escargot style dish. It was trio of escargot bites in croissant dough served with a garlic parsley dip. Now, this is a new item, and this was an item that I mostly tried.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of snails.
And this was the first time I ever tried escargot. So I had to give it a whirl. Typically, I get a little creeped out or get the heebie-jeebies from seeing the snails in the shell. But because this one was wrapped in more of a croissant dough, it was really good. The garlic and all the seasonings and herbs and stuff, perfectly done. So for me, this was a 5 out of 5, but I will say take my word with a grain of salt because, like I said, this is my first time ever trying it. So
I hear that other people did like it as well. So you're not alone in that.
So yeah, it was really good. And I hope they bring it back. And so the next item was a brioche, basically a spiced brioche with a 3-cheese Mornay filling.
This was so good.
This was amazing. Again, it's hard to mess up bread and cheese. I feel like that's going to be my motto for this episode because this festival has a lot of bread, a lot of cheese, a lot of beef, and a lot of cheesecake that we'll find later. But yeah, no, this was really good. It was perfectly warm. It was filled very nicely with the cheese, and it had some grilled cheese on top. It was so good. I gave this a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, 5 out of 5 from me as well. It doesn't look like much when you get it, but when you bite into it, the creaminess of the cheese inside, and it's just so warm. And that little just griddled cheese, bit of cheese on top of the bread is so good. They always do a good like cheese and bread dish here. This was no exception.
Yep. And then the last thing that we got from France was the creme brulee. So this was a creme brulee, vanilla flavored, with blueberry lime compote. And this is more something that you got because I am not the biggest fan of creme brulee. But how did you like it?
It was okay. It was a 3 out of 5 for me. I did give you a couple bites. It was good because of the blueberries inside of it, and it wasn't just like a blueberry flavoring or filling that actually had blueberries in there. I didn't get any lime flavoring, so to me it just ended up being a vanilla creme brulee with blueberries inside of it. I think mine needed to sit a little longer because the custard was a little bit watery. But overall, it was decent. It was good creme brulee. If you like creme brulee, I would give this a try. I think you could get hit or miss with consistency on the torching on top, whether it's as crispy as you would like it or not. I like a really burnt sugar on top. But it was a good try. If you like creme brulee, I would give this a whirl because of the blueberry addition to it. Typically, you don't have fruit inside the creme brulee, so it was fun to try that one. Up next is the Brazil booth. We got a couple things from here. The first one, I believe I'm pronouncing this correctly, is feijoada. It's black beans with pork belly and Brazil nut pesto featuring Ben's original long grain white rice. So think about a piece of pork belly on top of rice and beans. This flavor overall was really good. The quality of the meat was a little lacking. And I don't know if it was because of the quality of the pork belly or they might have just overcooked it, but it was a little tough. It was a little chewy.
Could be a little both.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of both. But when you overcook pork belly, the fat isn't as tender and buttery and melty as it could be. And so I think that was the problem here. But the flavor was nice. So if we had the meat cooked a little more tender, I think it would definitely raise the ranking for me a bit. I'm probably not running back to get this one again. Overall, the flavor was good, but I did give it a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, pork belly can definitely be a hit or a miss, and you definitely need to know how to cook it because otherwise the fat will just get very chewy and rubbery, and nobody wants that. So for me, I gave this a 3 out of 5 because, like Charlie mentioned, the flavors were there. They were good. Just the temperature or the well doneness of the pork ended up making this more of a mid dish for me.
And I understand it's hard to get the consistency of specialty meats like that done right, especially when you're pushing out high quantities of these dishes. But the next thing that we got from the Brazil booth was the Brazilian cheese bread.
The infamous Brazilian cheese bread.
And unfortunately, it was not infamous for me.
Yeah.
I found this to be overrated and overhyped. I like Brazilian cheese bread. I've had Brazilian cheese bread in the past, and this just doesn't match up to what I've had in the past. This was just subpar. It was basic cheese bread. I think it was missing a lot of the cheese filling. I was expecting mine to be a little more warm temperature than it was. It was more room temperature. I feel like a kid that was a picky eater would enjoy these.
It needed like a dip or something too.
To enhance the flavor of this Brazilian cheese bread, we needed like a chili cheese type dip to go along with it. But again, there's better Brazilian cheese breads out there. And because of that, I did have to rate it a 2 out of 5.
Yeah. For me, this was also a 2 out of 5, but something to note that this is a part of the Emil's Fromage Montage, where we talked about it in our part 1 episode about all the different cheese items that you can get and then redeem the
for a completer treat.
For a completer treat, yes. So this is an item that you can get. So yeah, 2 out of 5, not the greatest. I feel like there are other cheese bread things like the one we mentioned from France was way better. So moving on, next booth we have is Belgium. From here, we got the beer braised beef. It was served with smoked Gouda mashed potatoes. This, I would slightly compare it to the beef from France, but overall, this was good. I think the one from France was better, but the mashed potatoes were good. The beef was fine, tender, no complaints, and I gave this one a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, this would be a 3 out of 5 for me as well. I will say they were cranking out dishes at this booth when we went by, and so this one was served piping hot, which was great to have. I will say the smoked Gouda mashed potatoes, although the mashed potatoes are nice and creamy, I didn't get any like Gouda cheese flavor in them, which I feel like would have enhanced the flavor of that a little bit more. The beef was nice and tender. It was hot. If I were to choose between the beef from France and the beef from Belgium, I would go with the beef from France. I think there's a little bit more elevated flavors there, but I'm glad I tried this one.
And the next item that we got was the Belgian waffle. So this came 2 different ways that you could get. The first way is with a berry compote and whipped cream. This was really good. I loved the berry compote. It's tasted very fresh, not like it was canned or held on a shelf forever. The berries were really good.
And if I remember correctly, there were strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries at least in there.
Yes. And also the whipped cream was almost homemade. It definitely was not your canned whipped cream or like your Cool Whip. It was really good. Very fresh flavors. I gave this a solid 4 out of 5. What would you give this?
This is a 4 out of 5 for me as well, too. The waffle consistency was great. It was nice and warm and fluffy when we got it. And then when you added the berry compote on, it was a replacement for like your traditional syrup. Mm-hmm. So you could have just eaten it like that. However, the next waffle that they offer there was not a hit for me. This one was served with warm chocolate ganache. And this was really a letdown because we both like chocolate.
Yeah.
And we did get these at separate times. I will mention that. The chocolate waffle, the waffle wasn't as fluffy as the berry waffle, and the chocolate ganache was not warm as is described in the description.
Yeah, it was very just room temperature.
Yeah, it felt like just chocolate syrup.
Yep.
I know it wasn't chocolate syrup, but that's kind of the vibe that I got from it, and some whipped cream. So if I'm getting one of the two, I'm getting the berry, just because the chocolate ganache did really disappoint. I was concerned because we got the chocolate waffle first, and we still wanted to try the berry waffle, and we got a better version of the berry waffle, and so it was really a redemption at that point, which I'm glad that happened.
Yeah. Something else to note about the waffles, I wish they were just a little bit bigger because they're super mini sized, and it's really honestly just like 2 bites if you really wanted to kind of take bigger bites. But
they're very small. It's a 1-person portion.
Yeah. If anything, that would make it a 5 out of 5 if they made it a bigger waffle.
Yeah. But had to try it. Everyone loves waffles.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sorry if you don't like waffles.
You're wrong. But yeah, for me, the chocolate one was a 2 out of 5 as well.
The next booth that we're going to move on to is Tangerine Cafe, Flavors of the Medina. This is essentially the Morocco booth. It's in the Morocco Pavilion. The one item that we did get this year was the pistachio cake with cinnamon pastry cream and candied walnuts.
Blech.
We all know your feelings behind that now, and I'm very close behind you in that. This unfortunately did not do it for me. There was a lot of people online and people that I ran into in person that kind of hyped this up and were like, this is really good and you should get this. And so I was excited about it. And I've had other pistachio desserts from this location in prior festivals, and they've been really good. And this one just fell flat. The problem for me is I think the pistachio flavoring was artificial. I think it wasn't a natural flavoring. And I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
It gave like a different flavor palette than what you've had in the past.
Yeah. Weird enough, whenever you tasted it, you were like, why am I tasting mint? And when I kept tasting it, I was like, I see where you're coming from with the mint taste, but it's not mint. It's that pistachio flavor, and it was so pungent, and that's why I think it was artificial. It was very pretty. It was a cool looking dessert, but again, this just did not do it for me. I had to give it a lower ranking of 2 out of 5.
Yeah, well, from my lovely sound effect earlier, I gave this a 1 out of 5. The couple of bites that I had, they were all right, but I'm not much for like nuts in general in my desserts. So for me, this was just not it. I will not be getting this in the future. So 1 out of 5 for me. But to move on, we also went to the Greece booth, and the first thing that we got there was the spanakopita. And essentially what it is spinach wrapped in a puff pastry style type
Isn't it spinach
dough.
and cheese?
I think it's spinach and cheese. I could be wrong, but it's your typical spanakopita if you've ever had it from Mediterranean restaurants or anything like that. For me, this was a 3 out of 5. Nothing wrong with it, but nothing outstanding with it.
Yeah, this was just typical spanakopita for me. There wasn't anything outstanding. Not running back to get this again. And I'm going to agree with you, a 3 out of 5 for me.
And then the next thing that we got was the griddled cheese with pistachios and honey. This was also a part of the Emile's fromage montage. And this, for me, I didn't love it. But again, like I've said, it's hard to mess up cheese. So it basically was like what it says, a griddled cheese wedge, like a little triangle, and then it had little sprinkles of pistachio and a drizzle of honey on top. And I mean, it was all right, but I'm not going back to get it again. I gave this a 2 out of 5.
I like the flavors. Overall, they mix very good. The sweet from the honey and the saltiness of the cheese, and then the little crunch of the pistachio and the cheese just being griddled on that flat top. It was an overall good tasting dish. I'm giving this one a 3 out of 5, just a little bit above you, but I probably wouldn't get this again. It's a small portion. It is hyped up by the foodie community a little more than I think it should be. If it was a bigger portion, maybe even a thicker piece of cheese, it might do a little bit different for me.
Now that you mention it, that is probably what I would have liked to see.
More cheese.
Yeah. Like, or just a thicker cut of it. Like, it was like literally the thinness of, like, I don't know, like a thin pancake, like a crepe.
Yeah. Overall, it was a decent dish, but not running back to get that one. Next is the Japan booth. This one's always really popular. I enjoy this one. The first dish we got from here was the beef wagyu don. This was traditional Japanese rice bowl with American wagyu beef blend over steamed white rice served with homemade pickles, shredded togarashi pepper, and pickled ginger. This was a 5 out of 5 for me. The tenderness of the American Wagyu beef and the flavor of it mixed nice with the white rice. Also, the addition of the pickles with the peppers. It was a nice blend. It was a really good classic white rice and beef dish. You can't, it's going to be hard to mess that up. But the flavors, just overall, really good. Nice, satisfying to the palate.
Yeah, I also gave this a 5 out of 5. It was really good. I had about half of it. We split this item and no complaints. It was out of this world. It was great.
Wow, out of this world.
It was amazing.
It was a good dish. The next dish that we had was the Osakana Karaage. This was crispy fried pollock with spicy mayonnaise and a sweet and creamy yuzu sauce. So if you ever had Karaage chicken, this is very similar to that, but with fish. I'm not a big fish eater, but I did have a bite or two of this just to test it out. I will say it didn't have a very fishy flavor, which I liked. It was a nice flaky white fish. My only thing that I will knock it on is that I wish the breading was a little crispier like Karaage chicken normally would be. I think it may have been sitting for a bit and it turned the breading just a little soggy, but you still had the flavors. It was nice. I rated this a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I also rated this a 3 out of 5. I liked the addition of the spicy mayo and the yuzu sauce. It was all really good. I would compare this dish to bougie fish sticks. So
fish nuggets.
Yeah, fish nuggets. But no, overall, they were good. Is it high on my list of do I need to run back and get this? Probably not, but it was good. It was decent. No hate.
Our next dish that we had was the teriyaki chicken bun. So your typical steam bun, essentially. So it was a steam bun filled with minced chicken, vegetables, and teriyaki sauce. Overall, this was a decent steamed chicken bun. A little on the smaller side, but still had a good sweet teriyaki flavor. The consistency of the steam bun was nice. I would give this a 3 out of 5. I don't think I would get this again just because of the size. I also think the consistency of the chicken could be a little bit better. And I've had better chicken buns. So overall, it was decent. If you're a picky eater, you're going to like this. The kids are going to like this. What did you think?
I thought it was good. I liked the bun itself. It's more of a pinch top bun that kind of keeps everything enclosed, which is nice, especially if you're walking around the festival trying to get to your next booth or trying to get to a ride or whatever it is. It's nice and contained as opposed to more of like, I guess, the taco style bao bun. And I gave this a 3 out of 5 as well, mostly because I was not the biggest fan of the filling inside. I've had better teriyaki buns elsewhere, even on Disney property and outside of Disney property, that blow this one out of the water.
Yeah. So the next item that we got was actually a drink, one of the few that we did. This was a non-alcoholic drink. It was a peachy mango boba. It was crafted Calpico peach juice with mango popping boba. I will say I gave this a middle of the ground 3 out of 5. Again, some of my rating is on this size. It is a little bit small. When you're splitting it, you're each taking like a little shot. I would say it's probably 4 to 5 ounces worth of drink. So, it's small. But it's a nice, refreshing, cool flavor. The boba pearls add some fun to it. It is on the sweeter side. So if you're not into very sugary drinks, it's not overly sweetened, but it is sugary. So this might not be your thing. It was a good mixture of flavor. And I'm glad we tried it.
Yeah, I agree with that. It is what it says it is. It's peach and mango. So if you're into those flavors, have at it. I would say if you have a boba tea type location near you, it's basically the same thing as that.
Or even run into one of the quick service restaurants in the Japan Pavilion or China Pavilion and pay $1 or $2 more and get a full size drink of similar flavor.
Yeah. But I mean, like you said, the popping pearls make it more fun. But for me, this was also middle of the ground, 3 out of 5. Up next, we have the Flavors of America. So the first thing that we got here was the Gulf Coast style seafood roll with warm water lobster, rock shrimp, lobster bisque, and sherry creme fraiche on a toasted brioche bun. This is a new item for this year. And
they need to improve on it.
They do. I felt like it lacked substance, like in the roll. It was very bread heavy.
It needed more filling. I feel like you got a piece of each of the seafood items, and that was pretty much it. And then it was wrapped around the toasted bun. The insides was very buttery. I will say that. The flavor was there, but you definitely got more bread in every bite than filling.
Yeah.
The thing that I wish that this dish had was some like cold vegetables added to it. I know that sounds so simple, but just like a cucumber and some carrots.
Yeah.
Even pickle them or something. I don't know, but just add a little vegetable to that along with a little bit more filling of the seafood. I think you have a really good seafood roll.
Yeah. So for me, this was, I would say maybe a 3 out of 5.
I would have to give this a 2 out of 5. If it stays the same, it's not worth getting.
Yeah.
It's too small. It's not enough filling.
Yeah.
If they were to increase the filling, it would probably be a 3 out of 5. And then if they were to add some vegetables to it or something, then we have a 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5, depending on, what they add to it.
Yeah, just those little tweaks would have elevated it so much.
If you're listening, America Pavilion.
Do better. The next thing we got was the New England slider. This was slow braised beef pot roast with spicy jardinera. Again, back with the pot roast. Can't step away. It also came with horseradish cream and crispy fried onions on a potato roll. This is also a new item.
And this was so good.
This was really good. The mixture of the beef with the jus sauce, with the peppers and the cream and oh my gosh, just everything was perfectly blended together.
And it was nice because the meat was like soaked in that jus. It wasn't just like, here's a little couple drips of the jus. It was like nice and moist and tender. And then everything together just was good. The little bit of spice from the jardinera peppers and the horseradish. I know it doesn't sound unique or anything, but you can mess up a pot roast sandwich, but they did not mess it up.
No, and I liked that this was a touch above Disney spice level. Typically speaking, Disney tends to be more, for lack of better terms, more bland on their spice level.
They are getting better, I think.
They are. But I will say this definitely brought the spice.
Yeah.
So for me, 5 out of 5.
Oh yeah, this is a 5 out of 5.
Definitely getting it
I hope it
again.
comes back again.
And then the last thing that we got from the America Pavilion was the freshly baked chocolate pudding cake.
I'm over here drooling thinking about it.
And this was with Kentucky bourbon caramel. Needless to say, I think I can speak for both of us on this. It was a 5 out of 5, top
home
tier
run.
Yeah.
If you are a warm chocolate dessert lover, this is it. Mm-hmm. This is what you've been looking for.
It reminds me of almost like an underbaked lava cake, but without like the lava portion. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, so you take a chocolate lava cake and don't have the lava chocolate part inside, and that's basically what the cake is. It's like warm pudding in a cake form, and it's just something so good and comforting about it. It's just like, yes, this is what I'm going to end my day with. I'm going to go home satisfied.
For me, it reminded me of the Irish chocolate pudding that we got from 2018 when we went on our honeymoon. It was pretty close to that.
Yeah, that very similar. They haven't had that Irish booth in years, but when we had that warm Irish chocolate pudding, I was like, nothing can be better than this. And this at the America Pavilion is very similar to that.
Yep. Brought back the memories.
if you're a big fan of this kind of dessert, get one for yourself. Do not split it. You'll regret. All right. So before we move on to our next food booth, we want to mention the Eat to the Beat concert series that happens at the America Gardens Pavilion at the American Pavilion in the World Showcase. So this is a concert series that happens during the Food and Wine Festival, and they bring in world-renowned acts nationwide, worldwide, and a bunch of different genres, and it's a good time. And you can have the opportunity to see well-known acts essentially perform.
And it's included in your park ticket, which is really cool.
That's the great thing about it. And if you're an annual pass holder, you're essentially getting free concerts.
Girl math.
Exactly. And so what happens is they have a band come in, and if they're there for one night, they play 3 sets. If they're there for 2 nights, they play 3 sets on the first night, 3 sets on the second night that they're there. So you can essentially see 6 sets of your favorite band, and each set's only 30 minutes long, so it's not taking up a lot of your time. But that's a really good opportunity to just kind of relax, hear some good music, and maybe see one of your favorite bands essentially for free or included in the price of your day ticket or annual pass. But a couple of the bands that we got to see this year that we're fans of, Newfound Glory, which is a punk rock band, The Fray, which I feel like a lot of people know from like the early 2000s, like around the 2008 era. And then we saw recently Bowling for Soup, which is another punk rock band. They were all fun to go see live, and it was a great opportunity because sometimes you just don't get to see those bands because they don't come around your area. So it was fun. Another honorable mention that we didn't get to see that I really wanted to was Smash Mouth. And it's funny because if you all know Smash Mouth, they sing the theme song to Shrek. So you got a band that sings the Shrek theme song coming to Disney. So unfortunately, the weather was bad the 2 days we were there, so we didn't make it out to go see them. But maybe they'll come back. All right, so on to the disappointment of the festival,
womp, womp.
The Italy booth. And I'm sorry if you really like the Italy booth. It just doesn't do it for us. I just don't know what happens here because there are so many great Italian food dishes out there that it's like, why can we not succeed on the same level? And it's sad because there's some of the Italian restaurants that are back in the Italy pavilion that are actually decent. And then you have the booth out here that's in front of the pavilion for the festivals, and they just fall short.
And we do give it a shot. Like, we try some of the foods, so it's not like we're not willing to try the food.
Yeah, and for me, I have my fear of missing out, and so I'm gonna try it. And unfortunately, it's always the same thing. It just is not good. And I know this is one of the pavilions where their restaurants are run by a third party instead of Disney. And if you're listening to this, come on, You guys can do it. Everybody wants this to be good because I don't know many people that don't like Italian food. Mm. And so that's my little rant. Yeah. That is a frustration of mine.
I'll take back your pedestal.
Anyway, let's talk about the food that we got there. The first one was called Becchetti, or Kisses of Pizza. This is apparently a traditional Napoli street food. It is pizza dough, pepperoni, mozzarella, and tomato sauce. And the best way I can describe this is a piece of pepperoni pizza rolled up and baked. And unfortunately, that is what it is.
And they make it look like a cinnamon roll shape, essentially.
Essentially, yeah. Again, this is a good option for those picky eaters. But if you're looking for that intricate flavor, this is not it. It's funny enough because we ran into somebody that is from Italy and we asked them about this and they were like, this isn't even a thing that we do there. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, for me, this ended up being a 1 out of 5.
Yep. And for me, this was more of a 2 out of 5 because I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it.
Yeah, it was just too basic.
Yeah.
The next item was the tortellini alla vodka. This was a 4-cheese tortellini, vodka sauce, Parmesan, and Calabrian chili oil. I really like tortellini, and so this was a big letdown for me. First of all, this was served at room temperature. It wasn't even warm. Mm-hmm. And secondly, when I took the first bite, I was like, this is frozen food. Mm-hmm. They just took this out of the freezer and boiled it, but maybe not even boiled it all the way to temperature.
Yeah.
Which was unfortunate. And then the addition of the Calabrian chili oil was supposed to add a little bit of spice. And I don't know if they left it off or it just wasn't as potent as it was supposed to be. But this dish was just not good. For me, it was a 0 out of 5. Like, I would not recommend spending your money on this. It wasn't straight to the trash worthy, but it was just, here's some cheese pasta.
Yeah. For me, this was a 1 out of 5, mostly because it was technically edible, but it very much reminded me of a kids menu item you can get at like Olive Garden.
Most definitely.
And the vodka sauce was just very plain, and the oil added nothing. So I was just severely disappointed by this one. So would not recommend.
The next item that we got was actually a dessert. This was the chocolate spuma. This was chocolate mousse, caramel sauce, espresso, whipped cream, and puffed rice. This was actually a little bit of a redemption for them. This was better than the savory options that they had. I did give this a 3 out of 5. I think the chocolate mousse was light and fresh, and it did have a good consistency to it. You didn't really have a lot of espresso flavor in the whipped cream. So if you're not a coffee enthusiast, you don't have to worry about that. But the puffed rice was essentially, Rice Krispie treats without the sugary glaze on it. But unfortunately, these were stale on ours. So I imagine they had been sitting in the fridge for a little bit too long. So the flavor was nice. It was a small portion, and it was better than the savory items. I did give this a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
But I would not be getting it again.
Yeah, I also will not be getting this again, but I rated this a little bit lower than you. I put this at a 2 out of 5, mostly because I already had a mindset from the savory foods that we tried of being disappointed by them. So I guess I was already in that mindset. And also the puffed rice was, like you said, stale, and it didn't really add anything to the flavor or to the texture. It more so got in the way of the mousse, which was decent. But for me, 2 out of 5. And then the last thing that we got was the Italian-inspired blood orange margarita. And this was mostly for me to try because I love me a good margarita. And I figured, you know what? Let's give Italy a try on, see if they can make a good one. So it contains tequila, triple sec, and blood orange liqueur. And for me, this was so like either a 2 or a 3 out of 5. I can't decide which one. But the portion size, like we've mentioned with all the drinks, it was severely small for what you're paying. And the taste and flavor behind it did not wow me. I will say I preferred the blood orange mimosa at Shimmering Sips. If you listened to episode 1, I preferred that drink over this blood orange drink, and I would not get this again.
So what I'm hearing you say is leave the margaritas to Mexico.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll stick to Mexico for my margaritas. The next booth is Spain, and the first dish that we got here was basically a trio of different food items. So the first item was a croquette, the second item was a pan con tomate, and then the tortilla espanola. This for me was a 3 out of 5, purely because one of the little bites on this trio was just basically raw smushed up tomatoes on a little piece of cracker, essentially. And I'm not the biggest fan of raw tomatoes, so to me it just kind of fell a little flat on that end. But the croquette and the other item, it was more of a cheese and potato type little square, and those 2 items were good. So what did you think? I know you rated this highly.
I rated this a 5 out of 5. I like little bites like this, and this didn't disappoint. I was a fan of all 3, especially the croquette. It was a ham croquette, so it had like ham, potatoes, and cheese, and they got 2 of them, and they were fried. I wish I could just like, can I get a little portion of this to get like 5 or 6 of them and have the dipping sauce that it came with? I feel like it would be really good. I really did enjoy the different flavors. It's fun to get a plate with 3 different unique flavors instead of having to buy them individually, like I feel like they could have done, and I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah. The next item that I got was the paella caldoso, I believe is how you pronounce it. It was with rock shrimp, bay scallops, and smoked mussels. This is a new item for this year, and it can go right into the trash. It was awful. I don't know if this was just a bad paella or if I've ever had paella before.
I don't think you've ever had paella, but what I could see, and I'm not a seafood lover like you are, this did not look appetizing and it did not smell good.
Yeah, the flavors and the smell, I just don't even know how to describe it. It almost smelled and tasted sour is the best description I can
But
give.
It wasn't bad. Like the food had not gone bad. Like that's not what it was. It was very watery, which I think some paella it thickens up a little bit, and it was very watery. And the potent smell of the seafood, which I could be wrong again here, but I'm pretty sure that the seafood that they were using was frozen.
Yeah.
So that might have been why you were getting some of the wateriness in the paella and not a fresh seafood smell.
The seafood itself was definitely overcooked. I will say that. Scallops, they were basically just like rubber, which is not what you want in a scallop. But yeah, for me, this was a 1 out of 5. It was barely edible, but I'm tempted to say it's a 0.
Well, you said straight to the trash, so that's qualification for 0.
I know. So yeah, the 1 is redacted. I'm ranking this lower at a 0. It is straight to the trash, and I hope they do not bring this back again. But the next item I will get again is the Basque cheesecake with orange sauce. This is also a new item, and it's part of the Emile's fromage montage. And this was really good. This was a very, very light cheesecake, very different than your traditional American thick, dense, typically thinking of like Philadelphia cream cheese cheesecake. This was really good. I really enjoyed the sauce with it, and it came with some fresh sliced oranges on the side that when you break them up and get a little bite of the orange with the sauce and the cheesecake, oh, so good. For me, though, this was a 4 out of 5, purely because if you didn't get all three of those little components in your bite, it just kind of was like, okay.
So. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. 4 out of 5 for me. This was a really good style cheesecake. I would have to look up if Basque cheesecake means something about making it lighter and more airy, but I would prefer my cheesecakes to be like that as opposed to that more dense cheesecake. I'm not the biggest cheesecake fan to begin with. It ranks on the lower rung of my dessert priorities. But I do like it. I still will give it a try. Like you said, that those fresh cut oranges, if you got a bite of that with the cheesecake, just elevated it. But, once again, if it was just a cheesecake with no sauce and no oranges, it would probably be a 2 for me.
Yeah.
So moving on to our next booth, which is actually a quick service restaurant that is always there at the Germany Pavilion. It's called Summerfest. They have an item that they have specific for the Food and Wine Festival, and I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but it essentially is a German onion cake with caramelized onions, bacon, herbs, and a savory custard. This ended up being a 2 out of 5 for me. There was a lot of hype because this was introduced shortly after the start of the festival, and people were like, oh, you got to try it. You got to try it. It's different. And it was on our list to try, and it just fell a little short of my expectations. If you could imagine a breakfast quiche, this is essentially what it was like, concentrating on the bacon and onion flavor, more on the onion flavor.
Yeah.
I don't think this item had eggs in it, but it did still have that consistency of a quiche. And it was a little disappointing because I was expecting the dough that it was sitting on to be more of like a pie crust or a phyllo dough. And unfortunately, this was like pizza dough, which didn't make entirely too much sense to me.
It made it very heavy tasting.
Yeah, if you can imagine trying to bite into a pizza dough crust and a quiche is on top of it, that was onion flavored.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't something that I will get again. It is a large portion, so you are getting your money's worth. But glad I tried it. Not going to get it again, though.
Yeah. I think for me, it was a little too heavy on the caramelized onion. I didn't get a lot of bacon with it. So for me, I would give this a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so moving on to the actual Germany Food Festival booth. The first thing that we got there was the pasta gratin with ham, onions, and cheese. And this is also part of the Emile's Fromage Montage. And this was actually really good. This felt like a home-cooked, like, casserole dish with pasta and cheese and ham. And it was served nice and warm. And it was very cheesy.
And I think the cheese was like kind of toasted or grilled on top. It was really good.
Yeah, it had like gotten crusted from being baked like as a casserole type thing. So they basically cut you off a square and served it that way. And this was overall just a good standard dish. Overall, I'd give this a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything too like elaborate or exciting about it, but it was good. It was like a really good, decent pasta and cheese dish.
Yeah. I also would give this a 4 out of 5. For me, this takes me back almost to my childhood of when my mom would make scallop potatoes, and it was just like potatoes and cheese in this like casserole style. But then if you add like some ham and stuff, but I know it's pasta.
Maybe it's good.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe it's because you have a German heritage.
Maybe.
You just like German food.
I do. But no, I like this one. This one was good. I only had one bite just because I was pretty full the night that we tried this. But from my one bite, I would definitely get this again if I was hungry. And yeah, 4 out of 5 for me.
Nice. So the last item from this booth that we got was a dessert, and it was the apple strudel served with vanilla sauce. And I was hoping for more from this. Not that the apple strudel itself wasn't good, but purely the fact that I wanted it to be served nice and warm, and it didn't. And I don't know if that's a hit or miss thing where sometimes you get it warm, sometimes you don't. But if they have served it warm, I feel like this would be high up there as even 5 out of 5 for me. But this did, unfortunately, middle of the ground, 3 out of 5 for me. Maybe I'll try it again in the future if, I
Maybe it'll
know
be a redemption item.
Yeah, maybe if I know it's coming out fresh. But overall, it was a decent apple strudel. It just needed to be warm.
Yep. I agree with all those points. So for me, it also is a 3 out of 5. I knocked it purely because it was not warm enough for my liking. Yeah. I needed to burn my tongue.
Well, let's move on to the Swiss Alps.
Yes. Well, before I go into what we got, this is the booth that is known for the raclette Swiss cheese, where I don't know what they do to it, but they basically heat up the cheese to where the top layer is scrapable, and then
it's on a special contraption that keeps part of the side of the block of the cheese warm, where they can kind of scrape it off, but when they scrape it off, it's melty, almost like a fondue style.
Yeah.
But it starts off in a Swiss cheese block style, and it just gets heated up essentially.
Yes. This is also known as the stinky booth. So many people walking by were like, what is that smell? And just kind of freaking out about the smell.
And it's so funny to me because I don't get that from that cheese. I don't know if it's just me that I really like all kinds of cheese, but I don't find it stinky. I just, like you said, I remember so many people walking by and was like, oh my God, what is that smell? What is that smell? And I'm like, I don't understand what we're smelling here.
Yeah.
It smells good to me.
But what we did get here, we got 2 items. The first one was the warm raclette Swiss cheese. We got the vegetarian version, and this came with baby potatoes, cornichons, and a baguette. This is also a part of the Emile's fromage montage. And overall, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but wasn't anything to write home about. So for me, I gave this a 3 out of 5.
I've had better raclette cheese. I will say that. So for me, I'll probably not be getting this again just because I know there's better out there. It's fun to try if you've never had it before and to see it in action and to be plated. So I would give it a try if you've never experienced it before. But this was a 3 out of 5 for me. You mentioned this being the vegetarian version. They did have one with ham, and we just weren't interested in that because the ham just looked like deli meat ham.
Yeah.
And
very basic.
Didn't feel elevated enough for me to get that version.
And the next item that we got was the Kirschwasser Torte with cherry brandy buttercream, fondant, sugared almonds, and cherry compote. This is a new item for this year.
And it can go right to the trash.
Yes, this was awful. Basically, it was layered. Was it layered cake?
It was a piece of layered cake, 3 layers of vanilla cake, surrounded by the buttercream fondant icing, and then in the icing was the sugared almonds. If you were to layer the sugar almonds on the outside of the cake, this was just so overly sweet.
Yeah.
And the flavors just did not match correctly. And it was just oof, I can't. It almost made my stomach hurt trying to eat it.
For me, the texture of the buttercream and the fondant, it almost tasted like I was eating gritty buttercream, the sugar hadn't dissolved properly when they were mixing it or something, but it was as if I was eating sweet sand.
I think that's the way it was supposed to be, but it just didn't do it for us. The cherry compote that they put on top was more in the middle of the slice of cake when we got it. And so the first bite that I took was a corner piece, and it was very, very sweet. And as I got towards the middle, the cherry compote added a little extra to it, like just made it slightly better. And at this point, I was like, I'm not going to be able to finish this thing. And so whenever I got to the middle with the cherry compote, I was like, here, this makes it a little bit better. And I knew it wasn't going to make it any better, but I was really just trying not to waste the piece of cake in the end.
Yep. I had 2 bites and I was over it. I do not want to get this ever again. This was a 0 out of 5 for me.
Same for me, obviously. I threw it right in the trash after half of it.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to the next booth, which is actually the Refreshment Outpost. This is located in the Africa area of the World Showcase. It's right after the Germany Pavilion and before you get to China. It's not really a booth for the festival, but it's a permanent location there that they serve light bites and drinks throughout the year. And then during festival times, they'll have a few items related to the festival. And we got a couple of those items this year. The first one was the Burberry spiced beef with sweet potato mealie pap and kachumbari slaw. This was actually really good. The sweet potatoes inside of the stew were a little bit different and added some sweetness as opposed to if they would just be regular potatoes. I really enjoyed this. I think the beef was nice and tender and flavorful. Is a little bit more adventurous than what you might typically see at Disney. So I definitely noticed some people that were weary on trying it because it kind of gave that African influence. But I'm all for trying those new things. So I definitely dove right into that one. This was actually a 5 out of 5 for me. I really liked it. The version that we got wasn't very like stew heavy. I have seen pictures where there's a lot of like stew and broth. A lot more
liquid.
So I wonder how that tastes, if it's better or worse.
Yeah. For me, this was also a 5 out of 5. I love sweet potato, and the slaw brought a little bit of brightness to the flavors. So, again, lots of beef. So much beef.
I think it's a fall thing where it's supposed to start getting cool and you're supposed to feel warm and stew and beef. So
I know. It's a vibe. It's the festival of beef and cheesecake.
And the last thing that we got from this booth was the South African cream liqueur chocolate mousse. This was with white chocolate ganache and chocolate covered popping candies. And this was a really fun dessert. It had like a little cookie as a base, and then the chocolate mousse was on top, and it was nice and pretty, and it was very picturesque, but it also tasted really good.
Yeah.
And then you like the popping candies inside of it.
I just thought it brought a little fun twist to it. Like we've talked about a lot of cheesecake or just very one-dimensional. And this brought a little bit extra flair to it. So
it was a 4D dessert.
Yeah. But it was just really fun. I think it's like a really fun treat for if you have kids or kids at heart.
But the flavors were still like eclectic. Like it was a good flavor mixture. And the popping candies weren't like sour candy flavor. No. It was a chocolate popping candy.
Yeah. It was a chocolate candy, and I think the chocolate in the mousse was more of a decadent and elevated chocolate as opposed to just like Hershey's.
Yeah. So that was the African area, or the refreshment outpost. So would you like to talk about China?
Yeah. So at China, we only got one thing there. It was the Beijing noodles with stir-fried minced beef, cucumber, chili, and carrots in a savory Dubon sauce. And this, again, new item for the year. For me, I only had a couple of bites because the night that we got this, I was pretty full. So you kind of took the reins on this one. So what would you rate it?
For me, it was a 2 out of 5. It probably would have been higher if I had a little more fresh dish. It seemed like mine had been sitting for a minute. I don't know how popular this item was, so that might have been why it was sitting. The noodles were if you think of a typical Chinese takeout noodle, it was similar to that. And then the minced beef was very finely ground beef. The flavor of the beef was decent. It had like a very soy sauce flavor to it. And the addition of the cucumber and carrots had that little fresh vegetable taste to it. It wasn't bad, but I'm definitely not getting it again. Again, like to see what it would be like fresh right out the pan. It'd be interesting. I was trying to keep that in mind, but I still think it might get a max of 3 out of 5 for me if it was fresh.
Yeah, for me, this is 1 out of 5, primarily because it was super heavy on the soy sauce flavor, and I just didn't like the texture of the noodles. I felt like they were overcooked.
But if you would like an elevated Chinese takeout experience, this is a good option for those that wish to have something like that.
Yeah.
So our next booth, another great one, is Mexico. So we got all 3 items from this booth, and the first one we got was the Flauta de Barbacoa. This was fried tortillas filled with barbacoa beef, topped with salsa verde, romaine lettuce, crema mexicana, and queso fresco. Overall, we both rated this a 4 out of 5, and I think it was missing some sauce on top. It was there, but it was very light. So I think if they had added more of the crema mexicana and the salsa verde on top, it would have taken it to the next level.
Yeah.
It was still good. It still had the flavors. I just wanted it more saucy.
Yeah. I'm hoping that maybe if we can swing by one more time by the end of the festival, maybe this can be a redemption item for me because, like you said, I want there to be more sauce on it. But overall, the tortilla was really
nice
good.
And crispy.
Yeah.
The beef was flavorful and tender. It was a good dish.
Yeah.
This is a definitely get one for yourself. Don't split it.
Yeah, because the flauta, I will say, is kind of on the smaller side. It was probably only like 4 inches, not super big.
So the second item we got was the tostada de carnitas. This was braised pork atop a fried corn tortilla with chipotle black beans, salsa ranchera, crema mexicana, and queso fresco. Overall, this was okay for me. I wouldn't get this again, but it wasn't like bad or anything.
Yeah.
It was still good flavor. The pork was nice and tender and flavorful, but it just felt like a basic tostada to me. And I use that term lightly because this is still a good tostada.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for different and unique things when I like to try food at festivals. So that's my only knock on it. If you like pork tostadas and you haven't had one in a while, get it. If you have them all the time, probably skip this one.
I can see where you're coming from because for us, the Mexico booth is always a top tier slam dunk type of booth for us. And to get an item that was on the more basic side was kind of jarring. I can see where you're coming from with that. I also gave it a 3 out of 5. I think it needed just something more. What that more is, I don't know. I'm not a chef, but
I just eat it.
I just eat it and I know what's good and what's not. So for me, yeah, it just was kind of like middle of the pack. And yeah.
So the last item there was a dessert, and it was the flan that they had. It was a creamy Mexican custard with caramel sauce and toasted almonds. This was a very good flan. It was nice and light and refreshing. It is very heavy on the almond flavor. So if you're not big on almonds, you probably won't like that because they definitely drizzle the top with fresh sliced almonds. It was overall a good flan dish. This wasn't anything like over the top or elevated, extraordinary, but if you're looking for like a decent flan and you're a fan, this is definitely worth a try.
Yeah.
I would give it a 4 out of 5.
And for me, I gave this a 2 out of 5 just because I am in general not the biggest fan of flan. The taste of flan and the texture of flan hits in the back of my throat and kind of initiates the gag reflex in me. And so I just try to stay away from flan. But the couple of bites that I did have, they were all right. Definitely very heavy on the almond flavor and heavy on the caramel, but totally edible and was decent if you like flan. Moving on to Australia. We're just going all over the world. It's great.
It's easy at EPCOT.
Yep. So Australia, we got the grilled bushberry spiced shrimp skewer with sweet and sour vegetables and coconut chili sauce. This was really good. The shrimp was actually being flame grilled on a grill outside of the booth, and you could really taste that in the flavor, that flame,
the charness.
Yeah, like the wood fire grill taste. And the sweet and sour vegetables were great as a complimentary side item. The coconut chili sauce added a little bit extra flair to the shrimp itself. Overall, this was a really good dish. My only knock on it is that because it is a skewer, it can potentially be on the messier side when you're trying to finagle the shrimp off the skewer, and hopefully it doesn't catch and fly off your plate.
And the tails are still on.
So you're kind of having to like either eat it with your fingers or you have to like cut it. So it can be on the messier side for a
it's fresh shrimp then though, with the tails on. So
yeah.
It was good. I really enjoyed this one as well too. This was a 4 out of 5 for me. It reminded me of a really good sweet and sour shrimp, but instead of it being fried, it was grilled over an open flame. Mm-hmm. That's my best description of it.
Yeah.
And it was cooked very well, and the sauce really just elevated everything to it.
Yeah, very good. And then the next item we got was technically a dessert. It was the mixed berry pavlova with crunchy meringue shell, macerated berries, and whipped cream. This is a new item for this year. And for me, I gave it a 2 out of 5. The meringue almost gave it just kind of a berries and powdered sugar taste, and it just was kind of boring. Although it looked very pretty, the taste was just flat.
Yeah, it wasn't anything outstanding. I think right when I took my first bite, I was like, oh, this is just like when you get strawberries and you dip it in powdered sugar. Mm-hmm. What it tasted like. Except the powdered sugar in this form was crunchy, and then when it put it in your mouth, it dissolved.
Right.
Essentially. But it was a cool looking dessert. I'm glad we got it. I rated it a 2 out of 5. If they have it again, I'm probably not getting it.
Yeah, I agree.
Our next booth and final booth was the Hawaii booth. How many times can I say booth? We got all 3 items from here. And the first item was the slow roasted pork slider. This is with sweet and sour chutney featuring Dole pineapple and spicy mayonnaise. This is a really good pork slider. As the combination of all those ingredients and the flavors is just exactly what you're looking for. It's not like Southern style barbecue or anything like that. It's Hawaiian style barbecue where they have the mayonnaise based coleslaw and the pineapple on it. It was very fresh, but also good flavor of the pork, and it's so tender. Mm-hmm. It's just overall good. And this is a non-shareable dish.
Yes.
Get one for yourself.
And I believe it's on a sweet Hawaiian roll too. Yes. So it just adds to the overall Hawaiian vibes.
Yeah. And I don't know why you rate this lower, but this is a 5 out of 5.
Well, for me, I do think there is some very slight inconsistency with the pork, whether you get all tender chunks of pork or if you maybe get some more fatty pieces within there. So that's why I rate it as a 4 out of 5. It's not as inconsistent as the filet from Canada, but
there's a potential.
There's a potential. And I feel like we've gotten it once where there was a time it was a little bit on the fattier side. And I was like, dang, like I just kind of wasted all my money on this.
Yeah.
So that's why I gave it a 4 out of 5.
But overall, the flavors are very good for this. I would give it a try if you're a big fan of pork sandwiches. Mm-hmm. The next item was the Hawaiian rice bowl. This featured Spam, eggs, eel sauce, spicy mayonnaise, and furikake. This was actually really good. And this is, I think, the first time that I've ever had Spam.
Yeah.
The Spam gave a little bit of that saltiness along with everything else because there were a lot of sweet flavors in this. It was white rice, the eel sauce, the spicy mayonnaise, and believe it or not, the eggs added a lot to the dish.
It did. Yeah. I was very impressed with this dish. I gave this a 4 out of 5. It was a perfect little rice dish. And the Japan booth, they got it going on with the rice dishes.
Yeah. It's hard to mess one up. And if you do, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
I gave this a 4 out of 5 as well. I think I'd like to try it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But our last and final dish that we're going to talk about is the pineapple cheesecake. This was from the Hawaii booth, and it was with passion fruit curd and macadamia nuts.
Mm-hmm.
This was very had a sweet and tart and tangy flavor for it being a cheesecake.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have too much of a cheesecakey density.
No, it almost had like a thicker mousse.
To me, it was like key lime pie.
Yeah.
Kind of. Maybe just a little bit thicker.
Mm-hmm.
But replaced the key lime with the passion fruit flavor. And it was cool because it was shaped just like a pineapple, and it was yellow on the bottom and green on the top, and it was nice and Instagrammable.
Mm-hmm.
It was very cute and picturesque, but it also tasted really, really good.
Yeah.
This was a 5 out of 5 for me. This was probably my favorite cheesecake. Well, one of my favorite cheesecakes out of the festival.
Yeah, for me, this was also a 5 out of 5. I will match you in that. Something else to mention, this cheesecake was also on the Emile's fromage montage. And like I've mentioned before, I'm not a big nut person, but the macadamia nuts in this really gave it a little extra something. It zhuzhed it up a little. And I really like this one. This one was really good. So, yeah, 5 out of 5. Can't complain.
Before we go to the next topic, I would like to mention that it took us 8 times to try all the food that we wanted to. So we went to the Food and Wine Festival and made a trip out to EPCOT 8 separate times.
Yeah.
So if you're out here on vacation, you're not doing everything in your couple days that you're here. It takes a minute.
And we still did not try every food item that there is to try, or go to every booth that there is to go to.
No, I actually think we went to every booth except one.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we mentioned at the beginning of this episode, we tried what we wanted to. There's still a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. So now that we've done all of EPCOT's Food and Wine Festival, we got to do some favorites, some blue ribbons and least favorites and all the things in between. So I want to know from you, what is your favorite World Showcase booth this year?
So from our part 2 portion, we did this comparison in our part 1 for the front half of EPCOT. So for the World Showcase portion of this, my favorite booth was Mexico. Even though none of the items made my top tier list, I think all 3 items from the booth for me were all really good. There wasn't one that was bad and I wouldn't get it again. I would get all 3 again. And so if you're looking for consistency and all 3 items to be good, that's the booth.
Yeah.
From the World Showcase, at least.
Yeah. For me, I would say France was my top booth this year. Exclude the creme brulee. Everything else that I got or I tried was top notch. And I think everything at that booth that I tried had a good amount of uniqueness to it. So for me, France was top tier booth.
Fair enough.
Yep.
You're missing a dessert, though.
I am. I know.
See, mine gave you an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert. It's like the perfect meal.
Okay.
All right. So we talked about your favorite booth from this portion of the video. What is your favorite savory item?
So for me, my favorite savory item, if you were to twist my arm and say you can only choose one savory item, I would have to choose the cheese bread from France. I know I chose France as my top booth. My top savory item is going to be from France as well.
It's a good choice.
It's just a solid cheese and bread.
You just clog yourself up with cheese and bread.
It doesn't take much to make me happy. Just give me some cheese and bread.
There you go. Duly noted.
What about you? What was your favorite savory item?
This would have to be the New England slider from the America Pavilion.
Yeah.
And I know this isn't like the most unique thing, but it was solid. Like that was a solid sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
But I would eat one of those every single time I went there, if that was available.
Yep. That is a very good choice. That would be my like second favorite if I had to choose two. But
yeah. I mean, your cheese bread is close in line too.
Yeah. So moving on to our favorite sweet item, I think I can speak for both of us and say it's the
freshly baked chocolate pudding.
Yes.
Sorry. I love that item.
It was so good and just everything you want in a warm, chocolatey, underbaked brownie vibe dessert.
It's just the perfect everything. Yeah, that's just something, again, I'm going to get by myself and sit alone and eat this and enjoy this.
Yeah.
And indulge every moment.
Absolutely. So, moving on to least favorite booth.
In the World Showcase?
In the World Showcase, yes.
Easy answer. Both of us. You don't even have to say it. It's Italy.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak for you. Would you agree?
I would agree,
okay,
yes.
Good. They just need to revamp the whole system, whatever they've got going on there.
Yeah.
We talked about it and ranted about it earlier. No need to go any further.
Yes, I would agree with that.
All right. So what is your least favorite savory food item from the World Showcase?
Well, it was definitely that paella from Spain. That was awful.
Yeah.
Don't even have to revisit it. It was just not good.
Yeah, I think we explained it enough earlier. Just don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
I think you can go get paella somewhere else and you'll have a better experience.
Yeah.
But mine was from Italy.
Yep.
And it was the tortellini. That was just disappointing. Again, I think all you have to say, like you said before, it's from the kids menu at a crappy Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
That's it.
Very unimpressive. Now, least favorite sweet item. Go.
Least favorite sweet item? The thing we threw right in the trash. The Kirschwasser torte from the Alps.
Yeah. That was
so
terrible.
That's yours too.
Yep.
Yeah. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I'm going to warn people about that. If I see them getting, I'm like, careful there.
Yeah. If I see people, I'm going to be like, you sure about that? You sure about that?
Give them the look.
Yep. Now, to end on a high note, I feel like we dipped down. Now we're going to end on a high note. Out of all of EPCOT Food and Wine Festival, so Front of Park, World Showcase, all of it.
So part 1 that we posted earlier and part 2 that we're talking about right now.
Yes.
So when we talked about this earlier, we were discussing this and I said, if you could go back and you had to get one item every single time, it could be a savory item or a sweet item. This is the blue ribbon item. Be like, I would be okay eating this every single time I went there. And that's it. What our decision?
Yes. So I would say for both of us, the pumpkin ravioli from Forest and Field.
Most definitely. We thought about this a lot. Well, you thought about it very quickly, decided on the pumpkin ravioli, and I really wanted to be different, but I just could not think of something that if I had to go back every single time and eat, what would it be except for the pumpkin ravioli? And I couldn't think of anything else. Yeah. I know I raved about the chocolate cake, but I don't think I could eat that all the time.
No, there's something about the pumpkin ravioli that it brings in the sweetness of the pumpkin with the pomegranate seeds and the Parmesan cheese and just is literally the perfect salty sweet combination, and just top tier, blue ribbon, 10 out of 10.
Please bring it back again next year. Please.
Yes. So, Charlie, is there anything else that you want to talk about in regards to Food and Wine Festival?
Man, I think we covered a lot. Part 1 and part 2. There's a lot of food talk, and now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Again, if you haven't seen part 1, go watch it. It's a good listen. I hope it is. But yeah, it was fun trying all the food this year at the 2025 EPCOT Food and Wine Festival. Can't wait till next year. And we're quickly coming up on another festival. So we'll be talking about that soon.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, you can listen to our episodes on Spotify and YouTube. But you can also follow us on our social media channels, mostly Facebook and Instagram. We do a lot of posts on Instagram. So please consider giving us a follow, like, and subscribe, and all the things. You all know what to do. And until next time, dine boldly, dream freely, and remember, there's no one to tell us no. Bye.